Hello and welcome. It's so good to be here with you today. We are streaming to YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. So please go ahead and introduce yourself in the chat and let us know where you're tuning in from. Today's session is called Why Peru? And as the name suggests, we will be diving deep into why we've been called to go there in October. Together, we'll explore the sacred significance of Peru's ancient landscapes, the powerful energy of the Andes, and why this land holds such a unique place in the Earth's energetic grid. We have been amazed by the response to our Peru offerings this year. Both the Immersion Week and the Peru Expedition have generated tremendous excitement within our community. For those of you who are currently on the Earth Keepers pathway and eligible to participate, we are starting a wait list for the Immersion Week happening October 5th through the 10th. And we have some exciting news about our Peru expedition taking place October 12th to the 18th. As you know, the availability of Machu Picchu tickets is extremely limited. Our amazing Peru team has been working behind the scenes to find alternative ways to welcome more participants into the expedition. Since we closed registration for the expedition, our wait list has really grown. And I'm happy to announce that we'll be able to make additional space available for the expedition. So if you feel called to join us, the Expedition Week, October 12th to the 18th, this is your opportunity. We'll put links in the chats for you now. And while we're doing that, I'm excited to hear what Asil and the guides have to say about Peru. And I know you are too. So Asil, over to you.
Thank you, Crystal. Hello, everyone. It's good to see you all joining in from all different parts of the world. I was just recently in Peru, and I've been to Peru many, many times. I want to say like 7 or 8 times so far over the last 10 to 12 years. And I remember going for the first time and thinking, wow, I'm just seeing like the small fraction of this country that is so vast. I mean, just as a landmass, it's huge, right? And there's all these different zones from the Amazonian region all the way to the mountainous regions of the Andes. And I was feeling in those elevations the connection that the ancient civilizations of Peru had, and the descendants of those Incas that lived in the mountains, the Quechua, that still have it. And just visiting a couple of these sacred sites, just visiting some of these monumental archaeological places that have been built in a way that we cannot even fathom how in this day and age, and we wouldn't even know how to do it in this day and age. So that is how intricate and how much specific knowledge or unfathomable knowledge must have been held within these civilizations that have created these buildings, these walls, these ritualistic sites, these ceremonial sites. And that's just one piece of the magic that Peru holds. Now, being at these elevations, at these peaks, in these mountains, connecting to these lands and feeling the spirits of the ancestors of those lands, going to Machu Picchu and feeling the magnificence and the beauty of that land. Specifically, remember a sunset as I was there and thinking what it must have been like to live there, to experience such a sunset as a civilization that was living in that city, in that ancient city. Something inside of me was awakened, was touched, was sparked being in Peru. Was it really the ancient civilizations? Was it the energy of the land? Or was it maybe the open continuation and the legal frameworks around the plants of medicinal use, of ceremonial use that Peru still continues to this day? There's very few countries in which these plant medicines are considered legal. And Peru is one of them, which is really interesting. I think it's really fascinating. So when you arrive in Cusco, one of the first things you get as a tourist is coca tea. It's the tea made of coca leaves. And that is because it has the ability to oxygenate the blood, and it allows people to breathe better and have less elevation sickness, altitude sickness. And so it's really interesting, I think, for a Western mind to arrive in Peru and suddenly be handed, coca leaves or coca tea in just a regular environment. So what I've always loved about Peru is the uniqueness of the energy compared to many other South American, Latin American, Mesoamerican countries. Now, yes, the Incas have spread across South America, and still, the uniqueness of the energy in Peru has always touched me in a way that no other South American, Latin American country has. So, what I wanted to share with you is that in their own ways, they have continued the rituals, they have continued their traditional ancient belief systems, ceremonies. They've continued their ceremonies in the jungles, their ceremonies in the mountains, and they've even, in syncretic ways, combined their traditions of the ancient civilizations of their lineage with the Catholic, with the Christian faith. And that's what we call syncretism. We've seen this in Guatemala, we've seen this in Colombia, we've seen this in many countries where Christianity has entered an existing belief structure or societal ritualistic ways of living. And these syncretic ways have allowed the local civilization or the local society to keep their ways, but also integrate it with Christianity. So I just want to bring something to your attention. There's currently, for a period of, I believe, 5 days or so, um, is a particular celebration or festival that's happening, and it's a festival called um, Señor de Qoyllority. Qoyllority is the name of a specific lord, and it means the Lord of the Snow Star. And the sanctuary for this Lord is located at the foot hills of the sacred glacier or mountain of Mount Sinakara. Now, I think you should see this because when I first saw it, a friend of mine that is also friends with me on Facebook was posting videos of that happening right now in Peru because he's there. And I thought, wow, this is fascinating. I knew nothing about it. And despite the fact that we've done all this research, there is always another layer of depth or another layer of discovery that we have. So I would like for us to see that video of Qoyllority and for you to get a little bit of an understanding of this crazy festival that happens in beneath Mount Asangate at about 4,600 meters, which is about 15,000 feet elevation. So, do we have our video ready? Yes, there we go. So it shows you a little bit of the energy and of this beauty of this gathering that happens. It's one of the most significant gatherings, apparently one of the largest gatherings in South America. It I was reading about it and it says that it is both honoring of the image of Christ as well as the image of the Apu. And the Apu is it's technically the mountain, but it's much more than the mountain. When they talk about Apu, they talk about the spirit or the consciousness of the mountain. So mountains are revered with names, and the names of to them it's almost like a relative. So every mountain is a relative that is honored on a daily basis, and because they perceive the relationship with the natural forces and their immediate environment, including the mountains, their apus, as an important relationship. It is their grandfather. It's been there for generations and it will continue to be there long after they're gone. So I think that's really interesting to see and to note. This festival obviously is currently ending. Today it's its last day, but we will be making a trip as part of the expedition. We will go to Mount Asangate, and it will be one of the um, sacred sites we will visit. And one of the locals, as I went there, talked about Mount Asangate as like the king of the mountains. Like the mount, there's the Apus, and then there is the king of the Apus. It is Mount Asangate, and it is a very tall, very powerful, and very intense, energetically very intense place. In generally, everyone knows I love mountains, and so I'm excited to be adventuring there with all of you. The other interesting event that's also happens at the end of June is something called the Sun Festival. It's Inti Raymi, and Inti Raymi, it's basically about Inti, the sun god, and it is considered to be the most powerful deity in the Incan tradition. And this festival marks basically winter solstice in the southern hemisphere, so the shortest day of the year. So in the Andean agriculture calendar, it's like the moment when the sun begins to return and a new cycle starts. So it is almost like inviting the sun god back into their lands. So Inti Raymi is that honoring and a festival that's apparently held on June 24th every year. And I was reading that it can draw like 100,000 people or more even. So we have also a video for that. I want to show you. The Peruvian government made a very beautiful video about this one. It shows you a little bit how the Peruvians have not forgotten their ancestry and their history, how they're proud of their tradition, of their lineage, and how they kept it alive despite the integration of Christianity, colonization, the the end of the Incan civilization. So it shows you that there is a connection that remains alive. And maybe that is what I feel when I go back into those mountains, when I go back into Cusco. So the images, the videos that you saw, the most recent one was shot in Cusco. And that's also where we're going to be stationed, and we will visit sites in Cusco as well, like some of the cathedrals and churches, and as well as some of the archaeological sites like Sacsayhuaman that is close by to Cusco. Um, and from Cusco, we will also venture out to Ollantaytambo, and we will also venture out to Machu Picchu, which is one of the main sites of this expedition, and it is one of the still one of the most revered sacred sites in the world. And it's been really interesting to see that. I remember I used to go to Machu Picchu on a whim and just be buy the ticket today and go tomorrow. It didn't really matter. There was not really this kind of a rush as it as there is today. Tickets to Machu Picchu are sold out 6 months in advance, which is unimaginable for me. I have not ever seen this in that way. So there is some opportunity and availability that we have generated or created with our guide, our incredible tour guide that is organizing for us and our team. So if you're curious and if you are interested in joining, it's you're going to have to make a decision soon, because that doorway of availability and availability of Machu Picchu tickets is really what limits the whole experience of who we can bring, and at which point we have to close registrations for that. Okay, so there is one more thing I wanted to share with you. I think before I continue to talk more about Cusco and the region, I just wanted to say that that area that I've been in the mountains in Cusco and its environment is known to have incredible activity in the sky. There are Quechua elders we talked to in the past years that I've been there, and they said they've seen flying ships go into the lake at 15,000 feet elevation. There is a specific lake called Quinsacocha, and they've seen flying ships go into the water and out of that lake. There has been, and they see this as like normal. They call it the sky people. They come, they go, lights appear, and so on. So they have so much normalization of what we consider extraterrestrial or intergalactic activity. And I find that always fascinating when the local indigenous are like, they're just our neighbors. They come and go, and they've been here for a long time probably, and no harm done. So it's really interesting that in Peru, and specifically in those mountains, there is at night you can see millions of stars. You can see the Milky Way at great detail. And I think that also is what makes it possible for any type of activity to be seen in the sky. Now, that's not the main reason we go there, but it's really interesting to see and to feel that there is such a normalization connection with what we consider unidentifiable or unknown activity, or potentially extraterrestrial activity in the sky or in those lands. I have always felt something like that there, especially in the mountains. And I know that the Peruvians, or the ancient Peruvians, the Incas, have had a connection with the Pleiadian civilization. So there is a connection to that star system. And that is also something that we're going to, in a light way, explore. And the guides talk about it. If it's relevant, when it comes up, they will mention if a sacred site or a specific energetic site is connected to a particular star system, and what that relationship of the ancient civilization there was with this intergalactic family, star family. And we've had these kind of conversations, these kind of transmissions in Guatemala, for example, or in Costa Rica, and in other places of the world as well. It still never ceases to amaze me to think about that an ancient civilization has had contact and the descendants occasionally have contact and they have normalized it. And that to me is fascinating because as Westerners, coming from our society, uh, most of us that talk about contact are the odd ones. So, all right, enough of that. I'm super excited about Peru. It is going to be in October, but the time to make a decision, the time to get ready for it is now. And with that, we will enter into a bit of a transmission mode and see what the guides have to say about the country of Peru and also this upcoming expedition, as well as our upcoming Earthkeepers level 3 immersion in Peru. If you want, you can close your eyes and take a couple of deep breaths to join into this meditative field with me. These transmissions are also an opportunity to align and to receive, to expand our consciousness. Greetings. My name is Emmanuel. The journey that you're about to embark on to the country of Peru signifies your readiness and an important moment in your work as Earth Keepers on this planet. Stewards of sacred sites that have for generations associated themselves to protect, to steward, to maintain, to develop the significance and the importance of these sacred sites across lineages across the planet. You have found ways to revere the importance of these sites, the energetic relevance, the power, the potency to heal, the power and the potency to direct and divert the power that emerges from these sites to other sites across the region, across the planet, to create a balance between the forces of nature, between the elements, and to receive the benefits as a civilization, as a society, as individuals dedicated and devoted to the upkeep of such sites of energetic significance. Therefore, Earth Keepers, you have existed for millennia. You have contributed to the evolution of the energetic grid of the Earth for thousands of years. And here you are, a new generation, a new iteration of Earth Keepers, still dedicated and devoted to explore such sacred sites on sacred ground, in sacred lands. Peru itself carries many sacred sites. Even the ones that you will visit will bear an important part of the activation of the energetic grid. Additional sites must be completed remotely. The totality of Peru and its activation will impact the southern hemisphere as well as the Americas in a significant way. The country has always carried civilizations and societies that were deeply connected to the spirit realms at different layers of frequency, realms of duality, and realms of unified consciousness, realms of celestial beings, realms of intergalactic civilizations, connections established by the ancestors have remained at some of these sites and have remained in some of these ceremonies. Yet, just with many civilizations, many societies around the world, this knowledge is forgotten, is diluted over generational transitions. Many doorways remain open. Many portals of an energetic potency remain active. And these active and open portals will be attuned to the right frequency to operate together and to connect with energetic sites around the world. Those energetic sites that have been misused, have been dormant, and have lost direction and attunement will be attuned appropriately by the right number of earth keepers bringing their attention to a specific site to bring forth this attunement. As you have already heard the connection of the ancient Peruvians, the connection of the Incas to the stars, has remained as a significant contribution to the society in these lands and a contribution to humanity, as the sacred sites that have been fueled and supported by other worldly civilizations remain operational and in service to humanity. Therefore, even if a civilization of another star system, a civilization of another world, connects with a small group of individuals alive across time, this connection can result in a significant gift, not just for this small group of individuals, but for all of humanity. A gift, an opening, an energetic frequency that is now present on the land, that is now present in the lineage, that is now accessible beyond space and time. And as you venture to these countries, as you venture to Peru, As you venture to these sacred sites, you will recognize these frequencies, and the frequencies present will activate a part of you. For some of you that derive from these civilizations, it will feel like homecoming. It will be a recognition of a significant nature, an activation timely and necessary. The internal resourcing of your being is connected to the activation of the many parts of your being. The more alignment is found, the more forgotten and unconscious aspects of your being are attuned, reconnected, and realigned, the more of you is fueled by these parts, as the totality of your being serves you, your life, and all of humanity. Thank you for listening to my words. It is with honor, it is with reverence that we recognize humanity's understanding and humanity's devotion to serve the earth itself and the evolution of consciousness. Thank you for listening to my words. This transmission is complete. Take a couple of deep breaths as we are allowing these words and this energy that Emmanuel brings land in our being, and maybe just the way it was for me, visions and visuals of mountains, of valleys, of lakes, of sacred sites across Peru have opened up for you. I was literally flying across the lands, maybe from the perspective of a condor or an eagle. And the expansiveness of this country was symbolized through these visions, the uniqueness of that energy, the songs and the instruments of the Andes. I am really excited to be sharing one of my most favorite places in the world with all of you. To be sharing an experience as earth keepers, as expeditioners, going to these sacred sites, learning about the culture, immersing ourselves in the food and in the traditions, learning about the energy of these lands, and receiving the transmissions from the guides as we venture from sacred site to sacred site. The Sacred Earth expeditions are some of my most favorite things to do in life, and I hope we'll get to do it together. So, thank you so much, and many blessings to you. Thank you for joining today, and I will hand it over to Crystal.
Thank you, Asil. Wow, that was a very special transmission from Emmanuel. We normally hear from Elohim. Hopefully everybody is landing back. Thank you again, Asil, for bringing that wisdom through and for sharing a little bit of Peru. And thank you to each of you for joining us today. That was a powerful transmission and a wonderful taste of what Peru has to offer. And the word that resonates deeply with me is homecoming. And I too could feel us all there together, experiencing something ancient, something cosmic. I think there's going to be something for everybody. So if you feel inspired to join us for the Immersion Week, we invite you to add your name to the wait list so we can work to make it possible to welcome you. And if you're feeling called to the Peru expedition, we'll put the link in the chat for you. And to everyone who is already signed up and joining us for either or both experiences, we cannot wait to experience the magic of Peru with you. Until next time, take care and keep shining your light.